Hello everyone and welcome to a video which has been very much anticipated. It's the G29 versus T300. So in this video I'm going to look at the comparison between the two wheels and look at the good and bad points based on my opinion of course of each of the wheels, and then we'll look at which one should you buy. You know, based on the good and bad points. I'm not going to look at settings for project cars in this one. That's going to be a separate video, hopefully following straight after this one. But even so, hopefully this will give you a good idea of which wheel you should buy and things like that. So first of all, as you are probably well aware, I have both wheels. And I've had them for quite a while, and I've also had problems with both and experienced both sides of the customer service and support, as well as using the wheel itself in competitions, and the problems that I've had. So I think this video should help you get a good idea of what to expect with each wheel, or what you should be looking for. So let's start off with the Logitech G29 wheel and the pedals of course as well. So I bought mine on sale in December for £130, and that also included the gear stick as well, which is worth £50. If you take that 50 quid off, it's 80 quid for the wheel, which at the time was an absolute no-brainer for me. Went and bought it. 80 quid for a working PS4 wheel with good force feedback and things like that. Solid, well worth the money. So do keep an eye out for deals like that, because that I could not believe the price. So let's start off with the good things first of all. Now this will be a bit controversial, but the force feedback system, even though there is a bit of a dead zone in there, which is the bad point of the wheel, it's a proven force feedback system. You know, it's been around for a while. It's been in the G25, the G27, it's now in the G29. It's got a few upgraded parts in the G29, so it will have a bit better feel. So, you know, it is a proven system, so we know it'll work. So if you've had a previous gen wheel, it's you'll know what to expect with the G29. The buttons and dials, it has a lot more than the Thrustmaster. You know, we've got a dial on there, we've got some rocker switches on there as well, so it's got a few more, so you can add some of the adjustable things in, like project cars and Assetto Corsa. You can add them assignments in. The pedals, the stock pedals are like magnificent. If you've ever had a G25, G27, as I say, you know what to expect with the wheel, you know what to expect with the pedals. The pedals are good. There's one little thing or problem with the G29 pedals which you can fix yourself, so don't panic. Which I will explain in the bad parts, but yeah, as far as we go for just you know, the stock pedals, they're good. I've also had far less issues with weird force feedback issues on project cars than with the Thrustmaster. So on the Thrustmaster you sometimes get like a weird rumble in the wheel occasionally and things like that. Never had it on the G29. So that they were the good things. The bad things, of course I've just mentioned that in the good things. The force feedback is a gear-driven system, so it's got a larger dead zone than the other wheel, and you can only change so many options in the game to reduce it. So obviously that's going to affect your turning a little bit. You'll have to turn the wheel a slight bit more, and then sometimes it goes, oh, you're turning the wheel, so you turn a bit more extreme. Catching cars is a bit more difficult because of that larger dead zone, so do keep that in mind. The pedals, they are good pedals as stock. However, for some reason in the G29 pedals they've put this weird little black plastic thing in the brake pedal. No idea why. So when I first got the pedals I was like, what the heck's this brake? It won't even brake. It'll only go down like 30%, 40% until you hit this black plastic thing. So a bit of googling later, found out about this little black thing, opened up the pedals, took it out, put the pedals back together again, put the whole wheel, put it all back on the setup. Wow, what a difference. Back to a proper feeling pedal. The spring is strong enough itself, so why Logitech put it in, I don't know. Logitech, remove it, it's not needed. Get rid of the black plastic thing, it's a pointless thing, but it makes the pedals feel a lot better once you remove that. So obviously that's a bad point which you can turn good in the end. On that note as well, it will void your warranty if they find out. However, if you take out the plastic thing and put it back in again and then send it to them, there's no stickers or anything to say it's been removed, so they'll never know. So just be careful with that. However, I do think they should just remove that whole black plastic thing, but just keep that in mind. The wheel itself feels a bit like a toy. So what I mean by this, well, I say feels, more looks a bit like a toy. It's got lots of colours on there. You've got blue, red, black, and then obviously you've got the LED lights as well on there. I think the blue buttons really should just be black and then have just a red dialer. That's just a personal preference of mine, but even so, I do feel that, it looks a bit like a toy. The paddle shifters, now this is probably a big one for time trialists and racers alike actually, and something you won't really notice unless you have had the wheels for quite a while and tried lots of different cars. It takes longer to change gear with the G29 than it does the Thrustmaster. So let me explain this. If you've got a PC and you've got a normal keyboard that isn't a mechanical keyboard, you've got to press the key all the way down and then release it and it will come back up. If you have a mechanical keyboard, so I've got mechanical cherry brown MX switches in my keyboard, I don't have to press it as far for the key to engage and it comes back up. So I could press, say for example, the letter L twice before on a normal keyboard it'll press once if I go really quickly. It's the same sort of thing on the wheels, obviously far less difference than that for example. However, I couldn't change down quick enough on the G29 versus the T300, and I noticed this in really strong braking areas when I was racing my teammates, and some of them were actually blowing their engine with the T300, whereas on the G29 it was impossible to do that. So do keep that in mind. It means that you can't engine brake as much on the G29. So it does make it slightly, so it's only slightly, I'll say you'll only experience this in the top end of time trials, but even so it still exists, so just keep that in mind. Finally, I had a bit of a reliability issue with the G29 in the fact that it was more of a bad batch than reliability, I suppose. I bought it, it instantly got a squeak when I turned the wheel to the left, the paddle shift then broke. I'm assuming the squeak and the paddle shifting is linked, because I then got another wheel which did the exact same thing. I then replaced that, and then I have a working one which I've been using for quite a while before I come back to my T300. But you've seen I've been using the G29 the majority of the ESL events. So when I say the paddle shift is slightly makes you slightly slower with the wheel, it's not too bad. You've seen I was qualified second at the Nürburgring in the multi-class championship. That was on the G29. It's not that far off, but it's something to take note of. Perhaps when you look at other videos of people braking and you can't brake as quick, that might be the reason. So I just mentioned the T300, I've gone back to that, so let's look at that before I jump to a conclusion on which wheel you should buy. Now I've had two of these. I've also got the T3PA pedals as well, because the stock ones are shocking. Really, they should just get rid of the stock ones and actually put some decent ones with it. I recommend you do the same. So the wheel cost me $230, but then the pedals also cost me an extra $70, so that's £300. That's £170 price difference to the G29. And well, it's even more if you just include the wheel and not the gear stick, but we'll just call it 170 for now. So do keep that in mind for later on. Now the good things are it's a belt driven force feedback system, so obviously it's got newer technologies in there. It just means there's much less of a dead zone on that wheel, and obviously that means you can turn the car just slightly quicker. You can catch a car slightly quicker, so obviously that's a really good point, and it's a quite strong point, which also leads me into the second point, which is that the force feedback is smoother and a bit more progressive. It also means that curbs and stuff aren't as violent on the T300 versus the G29, because the gears have to lock into place. The belt just moves along, so it's smoother and more progressive, which does make for obviously better racing, better simulation and things like that. And as I mentioned with the G29, the gear shifts are slower, so obviously a good point of the T300 is the gear changes are far more instant, they're far quicker, you can whack down the gears fairly fast and use that engine braking to your maximum. So one less good point in the T300 versus the G29, but the two main points in there, the force feedback, really do have a big effect on your racing. So let's look at the bad points now of the T300. First off, reliability. Whereas the G29 was the same problem twice, I had 3 different problems with my Thrustmasters. So the first one, when I first bought it, was a loud electrical noise. You plugged it in, didn't even use it, and after half an hour, weird loud electrical noise. Sent it back, got repaired, got it back, no problem, started using it for a while. Then after a while it stopped registering completely. Plug it into any device, it would not work. No idea why. So once again sent it off, away, got it back. I then have another one now that had a bad motor, so sent it away, got it back. Now it's got a really strong motor, so it's bomb. But that's to give you an idea of reliability issues. The only other thing you may see or hear of are buttons randomly pressing themselves. Now on the first one it would press 2 buttons at the same time, however now it just occasionally presses the PS button. Now I think that's just a Thrustmaster thing with the PS button. I think the other one with the 2 buttons pressing randomly at the same time was actually a force feedback issue and a problem with that wheel. So that is another bad point in the fact that PS button activates at the same time as you've seen with the ASL. It activated in the middle of a race, in the middle of a corner at Brands Hatch, which is really annoying. But it's just a bad point. The other thing I mentioned with the G29, it's got the dials and stuff. It'd be nice if the Thrustmaster had a dial. Just give us a dial, just assign it to something. It'd be really handy. And finally, the cooling. Now the wheel gets really hot, and if you don't have the forced cooling mode on, which obviously helps this a lot, the wheel can then start to lose force feedback to protect itself, stop it overheating. Now, with Logitech, I said they should remove the black plastic bit of the pedals. For the Thrustmaster, if you had a dial and just upgrade the fan with like a fan worth an extra tenner, or just improve the cooling ever so slightly, add another air duct or something to allow the heat to get out the wheel, they would have a dominant wheel in this market with that one. Unfortunately, they haven't done that at the moment, but if they're watching this video, hint, do that and you're in for a winner there. I highly recommend that they do that. I've seen some people mod it with their own fans and stuff, but if you do that, you will void the warranty. Unlike the Logitech one, you will void the warranty with the Thrustmaster. It's got stickers over screws and stuff, so do be careful with that. Also to note with the wheel, the T300, the two I had felt completely different between them, and as you'll see in the settings video, I actually used different settings, and that's because they were so different. But now I've got a really good one with a really strong motor. That's half the reason why. Just to quickly go on to customer service, they were both as good. Thrustmaster took 6 days, I think, to respond on my first one. Logitech took 7. So obviously Thrustmaster a bit quicker, but on the replies, Logitech were replying instantly, where Thrustmaster was an extra day. So neither here nor there. They both solved the problems. Thrustmaster paid for the postage and packaging there and back. It arrived safe and sound every time, and they established it was a problem. Once you sent them video footage, yeah, we'll sort that out. Bang on. Logitech, they say the shop deals with it for the first year of warranty. Went back to the shop, they're like, yep, sure, just keep changing it. We think it's a bad batch. Once you get a good one, happy days. So I got a good one in the end. Customer service was really good. So, which wheel should you buy then? So, these are budget wheels in the end. They're at the bottom end of the force feedback level. We've got Fanatec, Thrustmaster have more expensive wheels. We've got direct drive come in. We've got all sorts out there. You can spend thousands on a setup. We're talking about £130 wheel. It's normally nearer 200, but they do have bargain sales on. And then we've got 300, and the Thrustmaster was on sale then as well. That includes the upgraded pedals, because you really do need those with the Thrustmaster. So if you said money and no object, and you only had these two wheels, the T300 every time, no question about it. You go for the more smoother force feedback, more progressive, and the fact that there's much less of a dead zone, no question, you go for that. But because money is a question, £170 difference for me, with these two wheels that I've bought, it's a big difference. It's not £170 worth of performance. You've seen that I've used a G29 in the ESL. I qualified for the ESL Multiclass Championship with a G29, so it shows that the wheel has pace there. So performance-wise, when it's £170 difference, the G29 wins, no doubt about it. Now, if the Thrustmaster comes down in price, and the pedals do as well, or they upgrade the pedals and it gets a bit better, they solve some of the reliability issues and things like that, and it ends up being a £70 difference between the two wheels, I then start questioning which wheel I should go for, because yes, the G29 would still be cheaper, but you get a much better system. £70 difference, you know, I can warrant thinking about the T300 more, but nearly a £200 difference with the ones I bought. G29 wins, hands down. G29 wins. So the better wheel is the T300, but for price for performance, the G29 is going to win. Now, for some people, you might not like that. Do put your comments below. I'm happy to hear opinions and things like that. But for me, unless you're talking not even 70, 50 quid difference between the wheels, then you go to the T300. But for price alone, G29, especially if it's your first wheel as well. So I hope you enjoyed that video. Hopefully it's shown you a bit of an insight into maybe some things that people haven't said or have said and things like that. I'd say I hope you enjoyed this video. The settings for Project Cars for the both wheels are going to come straight after this, really, on a separate video. And if you've got any other questions, comments, queries, anything else, bob them below. If you like the video, like it. If you want to watch another video, watch another video. If you want to follow me, hit subscribe. Twitter's in the description. But that's it for now. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.